Good afternoon and welcome to the first ever Computime webisode, BAI Retail Delivery Trade Show Wrap-Up with a panel discussion. My name is Joshua Levey and I'm the CEO of Computime, your trusted source for e-signature capture solutions. Thank you for joining us today. If you're a regular viewer of our webinars, you may have noticed that today's webinar looks a little different. Our set is different. I'm sitting behind a different desk and we've added some different graphics. That's because today we're taking things to a new level. You're watching an actual live broadcast designed to update our viewers on what they've missed and provide an even more interactive visual experience. Today, we're bringing a few special guests into the studio to help review this year's BAI Retail Delivery Show. For those of you who don't know, BAI is an event held every year for the banking industry. This year, it was held in Denver, Colorado. And as we've done so in the past, Computime exhibited alongside our channel partners such as Wausau Financial, IMM, and Jack Henry, just to name a few. But what was particularly special about this year is that we were also joined by our expanded line of vendor partners, SOFTPRO, Scriptel, and Wacom. And not to fail to mention that our other vendor partners, such as Sinotech and Tenzig and Synex, and True Multi-Touch Monitors were also represented in the Computime booth. These brands you will definitely recognize. They've appeared as our guests on our show before, and we're very happy to welcome them back into the studio today to help recap and explore what made this year's BAI show so unique. Let's take a look.
Welcome to Denver, home of BAI Retail Delivery 2013, an international trade show attended by thousands from the retail banking industry. Computime has been exhibiting at BAI for years, and this year our booth was manned by event manager Jim Fox.
Well, many of you out there today may recognize Computime as being a show in the past, and we're at many shows in many industries. BAI is a show we've been to for many years, and this year's show really had a lot of energy, and it's carried right through.
Computime was joined at BAI by three valued partners in the signature capture market: Scriptel, SOFTPRO, and Wacom.
We helped them set up their booths, so we're really working on that partner level and not just a supplier, vendor, reseller type level. They're very important to our direction, to where we're heading, and we feel we're very important reaching out to the channel and the market with our strength and our capabilities.
You could find competing signature capture solutions in every aisle on the trade show floor. Companies looking to create a secure, paperless workflow with reliable technology had plenty of opportunity to learn more about different applications. It was also an opportunity for Computime and its partners to cultivate a valuable channel and learn more about how to work together to meet customer needs.
We can bring that strength and all that power to the market and really bringing the manufacturer and the end user together and coming up with the best solution, which they may not have heard of without the strength of our marketing group.
It was quite a treat to have so many of our vendors in one place. To quote one of them, it was great to have a place at the table. And while I think that was a reference to an after-evening bite to eat, I think that may have been an understatement. We got such great feedback about Computime's new best-of-breed approach to signature capture technology. End-user banks and credit unions that we talked with were ecstatic to have a choice in hardware. Hardware that is now in the process of being supported by software integrators who were equally excited about being able to offer a choice. As we review the success we saw at this year's BAI, I'll be joined by representatives from some of our vendor partners. We'll discuss what they heard from the attendees and how they're moving forward in the market. Plus, we'll be joined remotely by Jim Fox, Computime's event manager, who is waiting patiently back at the Computime offices. So without further ado, let's take a look at what Wacom had to offer at BAI 2013.
We're here at BAI in Denver. Pretty excited. We're releasing some new product at this event, and we're here with a bunch of our partners as well. The STU 530 is a color LCD signature pad. We've been walking folks through a pretty consistent demo. We're able to talk about this precise data that we have, and when we show them the data, I can pull up a person and show a signature as a graphic, but I can show the data underneath it, and the ability to have that data for fraud protection and security, and people have really seemed to resonate with that.
So I'd like to introduce you to our first guest, Mike Dana. Mike is a business development manager for eSign Solutions at Wacom. He has more than a decade of experience in business development with Wacom. He has specialized in channel management and ISV development in the United States and around the world. And this is your first appearance on a live episode with us, so welcome, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
So we definitely are looking forward to having you. And Mike, it looks like from the quick video that we saw, you had some heavy traffic going on at BAI. Can you describe the experience, what it was like to exhibit there?
Sure. Yeah, it was a great show for us. We had a wide combination of business partners, end users from across the range, from banks, credit unions, credit card companies, existing partners and new partners stopping by to see what's new with us.
And it looked like you were showing a demo that looked exciting when we were there, and we'd love you to take viewers through what that demo was and what you were doing.
Sure. So our core technology is electromagnetic resonance, and a key part of that is that we capture really precise data underneath the signature. And the demo we were showing, we simulated a forgery. I would have somebody sign their name, and then I would try and copy the signature, and then at the end of that, I could break it down and show them the graphic and all the data that we capture underneath the signature.
Yeah, it was really exciting. You actually gave your business card. Someone would sign in an ink pen on the business card. You would trace that ink pen with one of your signature capture pads. Obviously, when you trace something, you tend to go a little bit different speed. And it was a beautiful trace to the visual eye. A bitmap or a JPEG of that image would look almost identical. But when you start to peel back the layers and you see the XY coordinates and the time and direction and speed in which you sign, very detectable.
It's glaring. Yeah, you don't have to do a lot of explanation at that point. I can show you, why did it take me twice as long as it took you to sign? Why are there different data points at different points in the signature? It's just a very graphic and glaring example.
And just as a reminder to our audience, it reminds me of just last week when we had the webinar with a forensic analyst. It would have been very easy for Mr. Flynn to detect the forgery using the signature pad and software. So moving on to another question. We all know of Wacom as a major player in the graphics tablet arena. At a show like BAI, is it difficult to overcome that brand name recognition, or is it a strength?
I think it's a help for us. I've worked in business development at Wacom for about 5 years in many different industries. And because people know typically you get two different people at the booth. They either know us and are interested to talk about us, or they've not really heard of us before. Once we begin to showcase the fact that we're making the same technology we've been making for 30 years that was designed for exacting standards of the graphic artist, the photographer, and that we're just leveraging that into business solutions, it's a very, very easy story to talk to people about.
And as a quick side note, I actually got my character done by a Wacom artist pad. So the technology is everywhere, but there's definitely a difference in the signature capture pad space for the document-centric environment.
Yeah, we're just taking advantage of that precise technology that we've built over the years and finding business solutions for it.
Very well said. Another marketing tactic or strategy, I noticed Wacom partner placards throughout the exhibitor floor. So when I saw those, is that part of the channel strategy? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. We obviously have a healthy ecosystem of partners that we work with. We make a great product and a branded product line, but we often take it to market through software integrator partners or just true channel partners, such as yourselves. This year's presence at BAI was larger than last year, and that's, to me, a sign of how healthy we are in the space, and that I expect next year there'll be more partners on the floor.
Well, that's exciting stuff. Thank you very much, Mike. We'll hear more from Mike Dana, and a little bit later when we reach the roundtable discussion portion of the show. And next, I'd like to take the time to introduce our second of 3 vendor partners that exhibited at this year's BAI Retail Delivery show in Denver, Scriptel. Scriptel is a well-established OEM supplier for the POS world, but they're relatively new to the document-centric applications. And BAI was a great chance for Scriptel to reach out to the banking industry and gauge a response to their technology. So let's take a look.
There's a lot of good signature capture products on the market today. Where Scriptel differentiates is our glass-based capacitive sensors. What we're most excited about is our card swipe unit. It's the first one of its kind to support this type of workflow in a 1x5 screen. When it comes to integration and making sure these are easy to configure, if you're deploying these out in the field, you want to make sure that they're easy to set up and that they work with all the different platforms. So we've done a lot with the developer support and the kind of behind-the-scenes infrastructure to make those work nicely. We really enjoyed our time here. It's been great to get in front of customers, learn about what they have going on, and to get a beat on the market.
So as you know, that was Cody Jenkins from Scriptel on the monitor, and now allow me to introduce Stefan Herron, Director of Sales and Marketing for Scriptel. Stefan is a 14-year veteran of the touch and electronic stylus industry, and in addition to his role with Scriptel, he also delivers talks at conferences about interface technologies. So Stefan, welcome to the show, and relatively welcome to Scriptel.
Thank you very much, Josh.
So thanks for being here. This is Scriptel's first time at BAI. Can you tell me a little bit about as a first-time experience?
Well, it was very important for us. As you've mentioned, we come from a different industry background, and so it's very important for us to get exposed into different markets. BAI was an excellent opportunity to get to know the financial industry and to see what types of products are out there and what type of concerns the actual users have.
And I certainly enjoyed our time together just touring the site as well as dealing with the attendees. But tell us a little bit about the products that you displayed at the Scriptel booth.
Well, we showed our entire lineup of signature device products. So these range from a non-LCD pad up to a mobile pad, another desktop pad with LCDs, an integrated magnetic stripe reader product. Again, all focused on our core technology of static cap for the sensing. But again, really exhibiting our key points in coming into this market from our history, which is ruggedness, reliability, and this attention to fast service.
You talked about the seamless integration of a mag stripe reader. Is that a core product for the banking industry, or do you see that elsewhere?
Well, banking is an obvious place. Any place where cards with magnetic stripes are being used as a way of tracking loyalty or identity of a user. When you get to the signature application where the workflow, the paperless workflow requires a signature, it's kind of a little bit silly sometimes to see that you might have a signature device on the desk and a swipe reader on the desk and another peripheral on the desk. The market's been asking for a way to integrate all of this, and we think we came up with a unique product by having this 1x5 signature-specific area in combination with an MSR reader.
And what were some of the frequently asked questions from the exhibitors and from the attendees about Scriptel?
Well, most of them wanted just to get to know who we were. As we know, we're not in this market for that long. We are rolling out products on a fairly rapid rate at this point. And it was really an opportunity to talk to them and learn a bit about what their requirements are and to promote the brand.
And while you say there definitely aren't a lot of document-centric signature capture pad vendors out there, where do you see Scriptel fitting in?
Scriptel fits in, again, the technology we feel is not the critical issue. When most people are using a signature pad, they're not thinking about exactly what technology is being used. There's some aspects of the sales, which is, does it have a battery, does it not have a battery, and such things. But ignoring that, we think that it really comes down to what does the brand stand for. And from our history, we focus on the reliability, the being able to take tens of thousands of transactions on the device. We focus on the fast service and the 3-year warranty that we offer and so forth in the market.
Definitely a valid plug, and thanks Stefan and Mike. We'll both be joining back for our roundtable discussion in just a few minutes. Let's do a quick check-in with Jim Fox, who's remote at Computime offices. Jim, are you there?
I am, Josh.
Great, Jim. I'm looking forward to our discussion a little bit later. Really appreciate you hanging in with us as we move to toward our roundtable discussion. We're going to also introduce our third vendor partner. So, our third vendor partner today is a little different from Wacom and Scriptel, as they are not a manufacturer of signature capture hardware. Rather, they create signature capture software solutions for both signature capture hardware as well as tablet, slate, and mobile smart devices. Their background stems from the banking industry, so they have been, let's say, veteran exhibitors at the BAI. And this year, their booth was as popular as ever. Let's take a look.
BAI is a great retail banking venue where we can meet banks themselves as well as the suppliers and vendors to that industry. Banks like to have their customer data and their documentation under their control, behind their firewall, and that's exactly what we offer.
Basically what I'm going to show you is the way that SOFTPRO deals with this whole multi-channel strategy, meaning how do we actually deal with different platforms, different ways of capturing signatures on different types of devices.
We're really having great discussions with some of the largest banks, and they seem just absolutely ready. I think, even in contrast to the same show last year, many banks seem really ready and prepared to deploy an e-signature solution. So I think the timing is really right.
So Trevor Bray has joined us remotely on previous webinars, and we are delighted to have him with us live in the studio today. Trevor is the VP of Business Development and Marketing at SOFTPRO. Trevor has more than 20 years of international sales experience with more than 10 in the electronic signature space. And Trevor, you're one of the most knowledgeable professionals in the industry. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh.
So, what did you see at BAI from your perspective?
We saw a lot of interest in the multi-channel e-signing solutions that we cater to, recognizing that banks interact with customers in multiple environments, in branch, in mobile settings, online, offline, and we saw an increased interest in those ways of e-signing documents.
And forgive me, Trevor, let's back up a little bit and tell me, just for our viewers, a quick overview of the product offering that SOFTPRO has.
Sure. So SOFTPRO offers a either on-premise or cloud-based e-signing strategic architecture, and as I mentioned, really focusing on these multiple channels and multiple signature modes or ways of signing, and we feel that that's critical to support the different ways in which the different applications, the different ways in which banks need to interact with their customers.
And with SOFTPRO's long-standing, rich history, kind of foundation in banking industry with Fraud One, do you find it difficult at BAI to overcome what else is going on at SOFTPRO in a banking show than Fraud One?
You're absolutely right. It often is, because the fraud side of the bank often doesn't communicate very much with the retail banking side. But in reality, the two solutions we offer really should dovetail very nicely. In an ideal world, when you're opening a bank account, you're signing the documents electronically, you should be populating your signature reference card for check fraud detection at a later point.
And it's certainly not our intention to ruffle the feathers of any signature capture pad manufacturers, but with the proliferation of smart devices, tablets, slates, mobile devices, that doesn't necessarily seem like a threat for SOFTPRO?
Not at all. We welcome it. It's a trend in our society, and it's really critical that it be a part of our e-signature solution, and it absolutely is. It's part of a multi-channel banking strategy, and so it's part of our multi-channel e-signature strategy.
But it's not to say that SOFTPRO has an exclusive non-signature pad solution. It covers both?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Great. And I noticed SOFTPRO had quite an impressive staff in the booth. Rod Vestling is the president of North America. Alan Saroff, the CTO of SOFTPRO, came in from Germany. Yourself came in. And you guys were mingling not only with the attendees, but also with the exhibitors. Is that part of a channel strategy for SOFTPRO?
It is. We offer both complete out-of-the-box applications, ideal for end users, but we also have a rich selection of software development kits for integration by ISVs, and many of those represented on the show floor as well.
And if you heard a slight ding in the air, that is actually people submitting questions, which you can do throughout this presentation just by submitting questions in the chat box of the webisode. So please do so, and we'll get to those questions as part of the roundtable discussion. So back to you, Trevor. What was the competitive landscape like? Did you see a lot of other software solutions? What was the competitive landscape like?
There certainly are competitors there. I think they all come from a different perspective. Maybe a heritage of a more click-to-sign or cloud-based solution. We at SOFTPRO try to offer this complete solution across the board, whether it be cloud, whether it be on-premise, whatever the signature mode. But they're all there. They're present.
And as a veteran exhibitor at BAI, how did this show compare? This year compare to last?
It was a really good show. I think in previous years there was a lot of interest in these signatures, but the major banks really haven't deployed e-signature solutions. There's really an opportunity for banks to take a lead, to become a market leader, and I think banks are now ready to do that.
Great, and that's a great segue as well. Thanks, Trevor, very much. Before we open up our roundtable discussion with all three of our guests today, let's talk to Jim Fox, who is joining us remotely from the Computime offices. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing just fine, Josh.
Excellent. So, Jim, Computime had attended BAI for years, and then we took a couple of year break from BAI, and we came back this year. What was the strategy behind that decision-making process?
Well, no secret that the last few years the trade show industry was struggling, but we felt this was the year it was going to come back and add that to all of our new products. We decided this would be a perfect return to the show, and it did not let us down. It was fantastic.
Right, Jim. So it sounds like that strategy paid off.
It certainly did, 100%.
Good. Jim, we've heard from each of our vendor partners that also exhibited at the show. But what about the ones that were solely represented in our booth? For example, Sinotech, Tenzig, and Sinex.
It was fantastic that we had the opportunity to represent them. It would have been great to have them there also, but I think we did a great job in their absence.
And I should say, I also noticed that Computime displayed a true multi-touch monitor. I could tell that digital signage was a very hot topic on the trade show floor, and I was equally amazed at how many other exhibitors were using touch monitors to demonstrate their applications. What did you see out there?
Oh, absolutely. We used it in our booth. It was in many booths around the show, demonstrating products and then talking to end users. It's being used widely for the customer experience within the banks.
Great, Jim. As we've been discussing on the show today, as well as throughout our webinar series, this year has been very challenging transition for Computime, but one that is filled with opportunities. How was Computime's best-of-breed approach received by attendees and fellow exhibitors?
You know, it was fantastic. We talked to a lot of people that have already adopted signature capture, but they were looking for newer technology and newer products, and we can do that now with a wide range of suppliers.
Great, Jim. And so let's talk some more about all of that, as well as some new topics. With our three guests, one thing I noticed walking around the trade show floor was how many booths had tablets, slate devices such as iPads and smart mobile devices that were laid out for their customers to use. In the past, we've talked about this as being a threat to the signature capture pad market, as well as, on the opposite side of the spectrum, a sign of further adoption. How do you guys feel about the proliferation of such devices? Stefan, let's start with you.
Scriptel is a pure play on the electronic signature device, so this is clearly something we're concerned about. But on the other hand, we believe that there's a place for all of these devices. There's a reason why all of them will continue to coexist in the future. And the place for the electronic signature, the dedicated device, will be when you need to know the location, the identity of the person that's actually providing the signature. And also in attracting segments of the user population that maybe are not so smartphone capable.
Right, and Mike, you kind of have multiple hats representing Wacom, because I know on an OEM side or on a component side, a lot of the guts of those slate and tablet PCs are manufactured by Wacom. How do you see the proliferation of those devices affecting the market of signature capture pads?
Sure. I'll reiterate what you said. Yeah, about 90% of what's out there globally is Wacom already. From a perspective of my part of the business, the signature pad at the desktop, we see change. We see that mobile's coming on board and people want to be able to bank 24 hours a day. But again, I would say that there's an element that's going to persist at the desktop with a person coming in and verification and signing at that desktop. So we're excited. We're excited to be in kind of all aspects of it as we move forward.
And Trevor, I'm sure you have somewhat of a different take on it.
Yeah, I think the mobile component is obviously an integral part, and I think it just underscores the need to support multiple signing environments.
Great. Next question. There were so many different applications at the show. ATMs, vault access, digital signage was huge, as I said earlier. What do you guys think that this means for the signature capture pad market? Let's go in reverse order this time, and Trevor, start with you.
It's obviously great for us to see different applications adopting e-signing. I think it makes it really critical that all of us are able to support the needs of these different applications. They do differ, and so I think that's an important element to remember.
And Mike, was there a strategy to address these different types of applications? You got the teller application, you got digital signage, you've got all of this. Is there a strategy out there?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about that for us is that our technology persists throughout all those different modes of input. And we're just here to try and make that easy and a process that can be, doesn't involve much change. So we focus back on our core technology, partnering it up with software partners that are out on the floor, like a SOFTPRO, and take our products to market together.
And Stefan, from an OEM supplier standpoint, are these OEM type of opportunities, or are they signature pad and OEM type of opportunities?
Well, there were a number of applications that were actually shown at the show where you have, for instance, this intelligent teller sort of ATM, where there was an actual signature capture component built into the housing together with the regular cash transactions and other features on an ATM. So we believe that the signature capture capability and the need to have consistent hardware and reliable hardware is going to be very important going forward in the future.
Great. We've kept Jim on hold a little bit, so I do want to get to Jim. Question for Jim. Do you think that attendance and demand at BAI is indicative of other industries and corresponding trade show events?
Absolutely. Trade shows are back in a big way, and it's being led by healthcare and banking.
Excellent, Jim, and that's a great segue. He mentioned healthcare and banking. It's a good segue to another thought. As I was reviewing the outline for today's presentation, I had that aha moment. We don't get the chance to have all of you in the same room, in the same place, and there's so much going on in the industry beyond the BAI show. So why don't we take this opportunity to share what's going on outside of BAI? Stefan, you want to start?
Scriptel is new in the document-centric area. I mean, most of our products have been developed within the last year or so. We're continuing to roll out new products, and you'll be seeing, recently we just launched our mobile signature pad. The signature with the integrated MSR is coming out as we speak. And we're looking towards new product, which will be coming out very early in 2014, and we're hoping to break that $100 price point.
Right. There are rumors flying about a new pad coming out from Scriptel. I think you provided as much details as you can, but can you elaborate?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's still confidential at this stage. I'd love to be able to give more information, but do expect some news in the coming weeks.
I completely understand. So moving on to Trevor with SOFTPRO, we've made some major headway in the EMR world. We've got some happenings in the tax and the accounting and also in the auto finance world. What's new at SOFTPRO outside of BAI?
Well, supporting some of the ISVs in the industries you just mentioned is very important, and we have some exciting news coming up in all of those industries. We have new releases coming up in the next few months, and that will continue this trend of supporting new and additional hardware and cloud-based solutions.
Great. And Mike, finally, I understand you are a major road warrior the last couple months, just recently returning from New York City, where Ezra had their annual meeting, and For those of you who don't know, ESRA stands for the Electronic Signature and Records Act. Tell us a little bit about what was going on at the meeting and what's going on in the world of Wacom and signature pads.
I think, like the rest of us here today, Wacom continues to persist in insurance and banking and healthcare and lots of, basically any place where somebody might need to mark up a document or sign a document. At the ESRA event in New York City, it was a lot of focus on legal, what the legal aspects are in the US, and looking across to our European colleagues and seeing what's been done over there. There's been a tendency to lead a little bit from that side, and we're following along, and it was a good event.
Excellent. And I also know, I don't want to go back entirely to BAI, but you've got this press event, or this live webisode, and you were on a couple press conferences. What were you announcing?
Yeah, we've had a pretty active fall. We went through some release activity overseas on some new products that we brought to market, and focused some events in on both banking and insurance over the past couple months. I particularly was talking to folks at BAI about two new signature pads, the STU 430 and STU 530, particularly how we're positioning those in the banking and credit union space.
And they're new and they're available.
Correct.
Excellent. And you want to tell them where you can get them, of course.
Yeah. Computime and Wacom.com.
We've been neglecting Jim a little bit. Jim, I would love for you to address the big elephant in the room. How is it in juggling multiple vendors that on the surface may appear to be competing with one another?
Oh, it's been fantastic. We benefit from all their manufacturing, new products, and technology, and they benefit from our sales and marketing, and the real winner is the user, the customer.
Yes, the real winner is the customer. We've had a great panel discussion, and our producers want to have a little bit of fun. So, kind of word association game. If I say, think of BAI and give me one word, BAI, one word.
I think if you're going to force one word, maybe watershed.
Watershed, excellent. Stefan, one word.
Learning.
Learning.
Expanding.
Expanding. And Jim, if you're out there, give me one word.
Rejuvenated.
Excellent. For me, that one word is convergence. I have never seen so many different applications in one place where at least they were 1 degree from needing signature capture technology. This convergence of technology supports Computime's place in the market as the trusted source for e-signature capture technology and reinforces our decision to have a best-of-breed product offering. And with that, I say it has been a pleasure hosting this part of the webisode. I'd love to get to some live questions, and we're going to do so right now. Okay, our first question, what were attendees most looking for in an e-signature solution? Trevor, you want to take that one first?
I think mobile was definitely very important. I think being able to support all the ways in which they interact with customers, particularly actually online. Having customers be able to sign from their homes was also a very, very important thing that people were looking for.
And we get this question, we got another question, and we get this question a lot at the show. Let's start with you, Stefan, and I want Trevor to have the chance to answer this one as well. Where should someone start when looking for a signature capture pad solution or a signature solution?
Well, the starting point, of course, is the workflow, the paperless workflow that you're trying to implement. And that a lot of times has to do with the software, so I'm helping Trevor out here a little bit, I think. But beyond that, of course, there are a variety of solutions out there for the hardware side of things, and Computime is doing an excellent job to making sure that there's quite a number of possibilities that people can find on the site, and I'm sure that with a little bit of research, everybody will find that device that they think best fits their workflow.
Great.
But start with the workflow.
Absolutely. Trevor, do you want to carry on that one?
Yeah, I think the advice I would probably give, and this is actually what most banks probably do ask us, is to start somewhere simple, somewhere like account opening or a loan application, signing a simple document.
We got time for a couple more. Mike, here's one for you. What were attendees most looking for in an e-signature solution?
Sure, I'm going to try and touch on all the questions that have been posed here. So, when people come to see us, oftentimes they know our hardware, other times they kind of get the curiosity look, and we'll spend a little bit of time with them and really integrate what's been talked about by both these guys. That we talk about what's your existing software, how are you using that software today, and how can we easily integrate our solution into yours. And that's a big part of what we talk about, is that for the value, we're easy to integrate. We've had multiple partners on the floor and continue to really get that activity and interest from new partners. And I think the core focus is what we want to show you is a value without having to make any significant change.
And what I will tell you on that note, and I was hoping you would get to it, and really one of the biggest takeaways for me at the BAI show was running into, and I don't think it's a foul to share the name, Scimitar, who's a major player in the credit union and banking space with Jack Henry, is really excited to announce in 2014 that their new software platform will be pad agnostic, so that this is, as I referred to earlier in the show, this is a sample of a major ISV really wanting to take advantage of providing a choice when it comes to signature capture pad hardware, and that comes to a lot of credit to the people here with me today, working hard to make that happen. The final question that I have, I'll send it to Jim. Jim, you're still with us. What was the communication with other vendors at the event like?
Oh, it was fantastic. You know, we all feed on each other and help each other, and we're all playing in the same space, so it just benefits to work together well, and it really came together at the show.
Such a great way to end, and unfortunately that's all the time we have for today's presentation. I'd like to take this time to thank Computime's video partner, Fat Chimp Studios, for the live production and broadcast of this webisode. I'd like to also give a special thanks to our three guests for being on the show today: Mike Dana from Wacom, Stefan Heron from Scriptel, and Trevor Bray from SOFTPRO. They traveled from far and wide to help us recap this year's BAI trade show in Denver. Thank you, our viewers, for joining us, and have a great day.